The Treasures of Ruin are a new set of legendary Pokémon introduced in Scarlet and Violet. Within the Treasures of Ruin, there are 4 Pokémon, namely Chi-Yu, Chien-Pao, Ting-Lu, and Wo-Chien. Long ago, there were 4 physical treasures, a set of wooden tablets, a sword, a vessel, aka a cup, and a set of beads. And no, not those types of beads. These treasures were corrupted though by negative human emotions, which in turn resulted in them becoming Pokémon, and possibly also the greatest emo band ever known to man. These 4 Pokémon would eventually be sealed away though, because they went berserk and nearly destroyed a kingdom. That is until your 10-year-old ass, in true delinquent fashion, full-on ignores the no-touching rule and decide to pull up the stakes that keep them sealed. All of this because you want to complete your fancy little sticker collection. Sticking true to their edgy origins, all 4 of these Pokémon are a part Dark-type Pokémon. But that is not the only thing they have in common though, as they all also have the same signature move, Ruination, coincidentally also the name of their first single release. Ruination is a move that has a 90% chance to cut the target's HP in half. In other words, it has a chance to cut their life into pieces. It is a move that some might say is their last resort. But like most bands though, they are also each unique and possess different signature abilities, each named after the treasure from which they came from. All of their abilities involve reducing the stats of other Pokémon around them by 25%. Chien-Pao and Chi-Yu reduce physical and special defense, whereas Wo-Chien and Ting-Lu lower the physical and special attack. So now you get to make your choice. Do you choose between the angry goldfish, Sid from Ice Age, Cuphead's weird pet dog, or the immortal snail? Now, on paper, they all seem kinda the same, right? With no real standouts. Well, that's where you'd be wrong. Because much like the Beatles, one of these has to be the Ringo Starr of the group. And in this case, it is Wo-Chien. It's understandable that many would choose the more offensive Chien-Pao or Chi-Yu, because believe it or not, to win a battle, you actually need to knock out the opposing Pokémon, and lowering their defenses is one way to go about doing so. It certainly helps that both of these two also happen to have a very high speed stat, so trying to stop their attacks feels about the same as playing a game of League of Legends. Worst case scenario is you feel the rage of 1,000 suns well up inside you, and the best case scenario is you feel nothing at all. Meanwhile, Ting-Lu and Wo-Chien's attack lowering abilities lend themselves to a more slower, stall-focused playstyle, which unfortunately isn't the most exciting thing out there unless you happen to have Subway Surfers ready to go on the side. In fact, this popularity could be seen in the recent 2023 VGC World Championship, where out of the top 10 Pokemon used, both Chi-Yu and Chien-Pao made appearances in the list. Now, considering the other Pokemon that could have been brought in, this makes things a bit more understandable. Fluttermane, aka the Kuna Mischievous evolution, is one of the premier special attackers right now, with a great typing and a very flexible move pool, stat spread, and item choice. But it can become even more threatening to the opponent when paired with a Chi-Yu to lower the enemy's special defenses. Chien-Pao also has plenty of capable partners to pick from. Pokemon such as Dragonite, Urshifu, Arcanine, Iron Hands, Rillaboom, there are so many great physical attackers to choose from. Now, the meta isn't just all of these high damage Pokemon though. There are indeed some bulkier Pokemon that are just as popular, but these Pokemon are typically the supports. They are there so that one of the previously mentioned Pokemon can shine instead. You can't really pair them with a Wo-Chien or Ting-Lu to make them bulkier, because then you start lacking ways to actually do damage. Well, at least do damage in the traditional sense, right? Because if we go back a bit further in time, Ting-Lu was actually at one point the talk of the town, and that's because some people decided that it would be fun if Pokemon battles were decided by a game of rock, paper, scissors by using the move Fissure, which has a 30% chance to just straight up KO the target Pokemon. And if you miss, well, that's perfectly fine, because missing means that the move Stomping Tantrum now goes from having a base power of 75 to a whopping 150 because of a previously failed attack. And because Ting-Lu is a beefy boy that can't easily be taken down, you could afford to take that gamble multiple times in a match. Fissure was a way for Ting-Lu to be a defensively focused Pokemon while still having the option of being a very scary offensive threat, being able to take out even the scariest of obstacles like a stat-boosted Dondozo. However, as for Wo-Chien, it doesn't get that benefit of having some really offensive gimmick to it. It has an okay stab move pool of Giga Drain and Dark Pulse, but its special attack isn't exactly anything to write home about, so maybe instead you try and set it up with Leech Seeds. But with how aggressive the top Pokemon are, good luck actually getting turns to take advantage of that. And I mean, technically speaking, there is also Ruination to at least deal half of an enemy's HP, but again, if you have a stronger Pokemon that's more aggressive, they might be able to just straight up get the KO by themselves anyway. So, as great as the Treasures of Ruin Pokemon all seem to be, it is quite clear that Wo-Chien is by far the least liked one out of the 4. It seems like Chi-Yu and Chien-Pao will always be the go-tos out of the 4 of them, and Ting-Lu at least had its time in the limelight with its Fissure shenanigans. I think it's safe to say that Wo-Chien is the runt of the pack. But I wonder, how exactly would Wo-Chien react to knowing that it is the worst of the legendary quartet? Let's have a look, shall we?